Regular human miner accidentally becomes the king of a dying alien civilization, the mining vessels. Emergency klaxes and blared as Alex Mercer fought to regain control of the rapidly descending ship. Warning lights bathed the cockpit in crimson as the craft shuddered violently around him. Come on, you piece of junk, Alex growled, his muscular arms straining against the manual override controls. The ship's computer had gone haywire after passing through an uncharted radiation belt, leaving him with nothing but basic thruster control as the planet's gravity dragged him down through the viewport. An alien landscape rushed toward him, vast plains of purple vegetation beneath a burnt orange sky. In the distance stood a massive biodome, its surface catching the light of the system's distant sun like a polished pearl. Mayday, mayday, this is extraction vessel Helio 7. I've lost primary systems and I'm going down on an uncharted world. At coordinates, Alex's transmission cut short as the ship clipped a rocky outcropping, sending it into a violent spin. The last thing Alex remembered was the biodome growing larger in his viewport, the ship's hull screaming in protest as it tore through the atmosphere, and then darkness. When consciousness returned, it came with the sensation of silk against his bare skin and the soft murmur of unfamiliar voices. Alex's eyelids felt heavy, but he forced them open, blinking against the diffused golden light filtering through high-arched windows. What the hell, he muttered, pushing himself upright. The room around him was unlike anything he'd ever seen. A vast chamber with soaring ceilings of what appeared to be living coral walls that pulsed with gentle bioluminescence and furnishings that seemed to grow organically from the floor. Through enormous windows he could see a star-filled sky above, a cityscape of flowing organic architecture. But what truly froze him in place was the realization that he was completely naked and not alone on either side of him. Beneath sheets of shimmering fabric that resembled silk but seemed to ripple with their own inner light, lay two identical women, or rather humanoid beings, with smooth radiant orange skin dusted with tiny sparkles that caught the light as they breathed. Their silvery white hair fanned out across the pillows, framing faces of alien beauty, high cheekbones, delicately pointed ears, and long lashes that rested against their cheeks. Alex's sudden movement disturbed them, and as one, their eyes fluttered open, revealing irises of deep violet that seemed to glow from within. The resonant one awakens, said the woman on his left, her voice musical and lilting. The crystal has chosen wisely, replied her twin, reaching out to touch Alex's arm with slender fingers. Alex jerked back, nearly tumbling from the enormous bed. Who the hell are you? Where am I? And where are my damn clothes? The twins exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of amusement and concern. I am Lyra, said the one on the left. And I am Nara, said her sister. We are the guardians of the crystal throne, they said in unison. And you human are now king of the Fails. Alex stared at them, his mouth hanging open. I'm what? Lyra rose from the bed, unself-conscious in her nudity, and retrieved a flowing robe from a nearby alcove. Her movements were graceful, almost hypnotic, as she approached and offered it to him. Your vessel crashed beyond our dome, she explained. Our scouts found you barely alive and brought you to the healing chambers. When your DNA was scanned, Nara continued, also rising and donning a similar robe. The great crystal responded with a resonance not seen in generations. The throne has been empty since the passing of King Theron. Lyre added, our people have awaited a new ruler, one whose genetic pattern would awaken the crystal's power. Alex clutched the robe around himself, his mind racing. Look, there's been a mistake. I'm just a miner from Earth. I was on a routine extraction run when my ship malfunctioned. There is no mistake, Nora said firmly. The crystal's choice is absolute. You are the resonant one, the only being whose genetic code can activate our ancient technologies and save our people from extinction. Alex ran a hand through his tousle chestnut hair, his brown eyes wide with disbelief. Save you from extinction? What are you talking about? The twins' expressions grew solemn. Our people are dying, Lyra explained. A genetic degradation has spread through our population for generations. Without new genetic material compatible with our own, the Phalian race will be gone within a decade. And you think I'm the answer? Alex asked incredulously. The crystal has declared it so, Nara replied, and the crystal has never been wrong. Before Alex could respond, a chime sounded in a portion of the wall, dissolved to reveal a tall, regal-looking male Phalan dressed in elaborate robes. My king, he said, bowing deeply, the council awaits your first audience hour. People gathered to glimpse their new ruler. Alex looked from the dignitary to the twin women, panic rising in his chest. I can't be a king. I don't know the first thing about ruling a civilization. Lyra moved closer, her hand resting gently on his arm. You need not fear, Resonant One. We will guide you, and in return, Nara added, her violet eyes intense, perhaps you will be the salvation our dying races prayed for. Alex swallowed hard, the weight of an entire civilization's hopes suddenly pressing down on his broad shoulders. Yeah, he was just a miner, a man who worked with his hands, who enjoyed simple pleasures and avoided complications. Now through some cosmic joke he'd become the ruler of an alien race on the brink of extinction. Well, bitch, he muttered, reaching for the ceremonial garments Lyra now held out to him. I guess this beats filing incident reports about the ship crash. As he dressed, he caught sight of his reflection in a mirror-like surface, a strong muscular human with faint stubble and bewildered brown eyes, now draped in the ornate regalia of an alien king. Just a regular day in the life of Alex Mercer, he said under his breath. Wake up, mind some more, become king of a dying alien race. No big deal. The twins smiled at his gallows humor, and for a brief moment Alex felt a flicker of something unexpected, a connection to these strange, beautiful beings in their desperate plight. The council awaits, my king, the dignitary repeated, his tone betraying mild impatience. Alex took a deep breath, adjusting the unfamiliar weight of the ceremonial garments. The fabric felt alive, somehow subtly shifting to accommodate his movements. I need to check my ship first, Alex said firmly. There's equipment I need, communications gear that might help me contact my company. The dignitary's expression tightened. The wreckage lies beyond the dome's protection. Resonant One, the atmosphere is toxic to Felians, Lyra interjected, stepping forward. But perhaps not to humans. I will accompany him, as will I, Nara added, her violet eyes meeting Alex's with an intensity that sent an unexpected warmth through his body. The dignitary, who introduced himself as Varric Royal Chamberlain, reluctantly agreed to postpone the council meeting by 2 hours. No longer, he warned the people, grow restless as they prepared for the expedition. Alex found himself alone with the twins, and an antechamber attendants had brought him clothing better suited for the journey, a form-fitting bodysuit that reminded him of his mining gear, though made of a material that seemed to regulate his body temperature perfectly. You two don't have to come, Alex said, watching as Lyra and Nara donned similar attire. The suits accentuated their live athletic forms, and he found himself struggling not to stare. We must, Lyra replied, her melodic voice serious. The crystal has chosen you, but you are still unfamiliar with our world. Besides, Nara added with a smile that transformed her solemn face, I'm curious about human vessels our people haven't built spacecraft in generations. Their small party exited through an airlock at the dome's perimeter. Alex was surprised to find he could breathe the planet's atmosphere, though it carried a metallic tang that made his throat itch. The toxins affect Felian physiology differently, Lyra explained, her voice slightly distorted through her breathing apparatus. For us, prolonged exposure causes cellular degradation. They get across the purple landscape following the tracking beacon from Alex's emergency locator. The twins moved with a fluid grace that made them appear to almost float over the difficult terrain. Your ship, Nara said, pointing to a smoking gash in the ground about half a kilometer ahead. The Helio 7 lay partially buried, its hull breached in multiple places. Alex's heart sank as he surveyed the damage. No one's coming for me, are they? He muttered, more to himself than his companions. Law placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. The crystal chose you for a reason, Alex. Perhaps this is where you were always meant to be. Her touch lingered, and Alex found himself looking into her violet eyes, noticing subtle differences from her sister's. Lyres held flecks of silver, while Nara's contained hints of blue. The realization that he could already distinguish between them surprised him. They salvaged what they could: Alex's personal effects, some tools, and a partially functional communications array that might be repaired with Felian technology. As they worked, the twins asked endless questions about Earth-human society and Alex's life as a miner. You extract resources from planets alone? Nara asked, fascinated. Solo extraction is good money, Alex explained. Fewer people to split the profits with. You must get lonely, Lyra observed, her voice softer. Alex paused, a memory stick in his hand. Sometimes, but I've always been better with rocks than people. Yet now you must lead an entire civilization. Nara said, a hint of amusement in her voice. Yeah, the irony isn't lost on me. Alex chuckled as they prepared to return. Lajira suddenly stiffened, her head tilting as if listening. We must hurry, she said urgently. A storm approaches, one that even your human physiology cannot withstand. On the horizon, Alex saw a wall of swirling purple-black clouds crackling with energy. They ran, the twins moving with pretty natural speed, occasionally taking Alex's hands to help him over difficult terrain. Each touch sent a jolt through him that had nothing to do with the approaching storm. They reached the dome just as the first acidic raindrops began to fall, burning small holes in their protective suits. Inside the airlock, they stripped off the damaged garments, leaving them in form-fitting undergarments that left little to the imagination. Breathing hard from their sprint, Alex found himself standing close to Lyra, her orange skin glistening with exertion, tiny sparkles catching the light with each breath. Nara stood equally close on his other side, her eyes traveling over his muscular form with undisguised interest. Your species is remarkably resilient, Lyra said, her fingers brushing his arm where a raindrop had burned through to his skin. The wound was already healing and aesthetically pleasing, Nara added with a directness that made Alex flush. Alex stammered, suddenly very aware of their proximity. In the charged atmosphere between them, the council awaits. Resonant One interrupted Varric's voice through the intercom. Your royal garments have been prepared in the adjacent chamber. The moment broke, but something had changed between the three of them, a recognition of mutual attraction that transcended their biological differences. We should prepare you for the council, Lyra said, her voice carrying a new warmth. They will have many questions, Nara added, about how you intend to save our people. Alex nodded, following them from the airlock, wondering how he could possibly fulfill the expectations of an entire civilization, and increasingly aware of his growing feelings for the twin guardians who had so unexpectedly entered his life. The council chamber was a vast circular room dominated by a miniature version of the great crystal. At its center, 12 Felian elders, their orange skin faded to a burnished copper with age, sat in tiered seats surrounding the crystal, which pulsed with inner light. Alex entered wearing royal regalia that felt both foreign and strangely right, as if the garments themselves approved of him. Lyra and Nara flanked him, their ceremonial attire accentuating their live forms while maintaining an air of solemn dignity. Behold, the Resonant One, announced Varric, his voice echoing through the chamber. The council members rose as one, bowing deeply, all except one, a stern-faced elder whose eyes burned with barely concealed hostility. Councillor Dren Varric acknowledged with a tight nod. I question the validity of this selection, Dren said, his voice carrying despite its softness. Never in our history has an outsider been chosen. The crystal's choice is absolute, countered an elderly female councillor. You know this, Danny. Perhaps the crystal has been influenced, Dren suggested, his gaze shifting meaningfully toward Lyra and Nara. Alex felt the twins stiffen beside him. What exactly are you implying? He asked, surprising himself with the authority in his voice. Dren's lips curled into a thin smile. Only that the Guardians were specifically engineered to be compatible with the Resonant One. Their very existence might have affected the crystal's judgment. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Alex glanced at Lyra and Nara, whose expressions remained carefully neutral, though he detected a flash of discomfort in their eyes. Engineered, Alex repeated. The elderly female counselor sighed. The Guardians are the culmination of generations of genetic research designed to complement the genetic profile the crystal has always favored. They carry the purest expression of our ancestral DNA. We are vessels, Lyra said quietly, her melodic voice tinged with an emotion Alex couldn't quite identify. Created to bear the children of the Resonant One, Nara added, and thus introduce new genetic material into our failing bloodlines. Alex felt as if the floor had dropped away beneath him. The twins weren't just royal attendants or priestesses, they were living genetic repositories created specifically to mate with whoever the crystal chose as king. This is why I question the selection. Dren pressed. The human's DNA triggered a response because the Guardians were designed to be compatible with any viable genetic material. It proves nothing about his worthiness to rule. Then let him prove himself through the ritual of resonance, suggested another counselor. The chamber fell silent. Even Dren looked taken aback. The ritual hasn't been performed in 7 generations, Varric protested. What's the ritual of resonance? Alex asked, though he Wasn't sure he wanted to know a direct communion with the great crystal Lyra. Explained, her hand brushing his arm in what felt like a warning. Few survive the mental strain, those who do gain unprecedented control over our technology, Nara continued, and the absolute loyalty of our people. Alex looked around the chamber at the faces watching him with a mixture of hope, skepticism and calculation. Then he looked at the twins, created to be genetic matches for him, their entire existence defined by a role they never chose, something hardened inside him. If he was going to be king of this dying race, he'd do it on his own terms. I'll do the ritual, he announced, but first I want to understand exactly what's happening to your people. The elderly female counselor, who introduced herself as Talia, activated a holographic display showing the Felian genome. Our ancestors were spacefaring explorers, she explained, but an encounter with a cosmic radiation field damaged our reproductive capabilities. Each generation becomes less viable than the last. We've tried everything, another counselor added. Genetic engineering, cloning, even suspended animation for our healthiest specimens. The Guardians were our most successful creation, Talia continued with an apologetic glance toward Lyra and Nara, designed to be genetically compatible with whoever might save us. Ah, and you believe that's me? Alex asked. The crystal has never responded to anyone as it did to you, Varric confirmed. Not even our last king. After the council session, Alex retreated to his chambers with Lyra and Nara. An uncomfortable silence hung between them as attendants brought refreshments, then discreetly withdrew. Why didn't you tell me? Alex finally asked. The twins exchanged glances. Would it have changed how you see us? Leah asked softly. Knowing we were created for this purpose, Nara added, her voice vulnerable in a way he hadn't heard before. Alex ran a hand through his hair, conflicted. His attraction to them had been immediate and powerful, but learning they were literally designed to be compatible with him complicated everything. I don't know, I just admitted, but I deserve the truth. You're right, Leah acknowledged, moving closer. We should have told you, we've never known any other purpose, Nara said, joining her sister, but since meeting you we've begun to wonder if we could be more than what we were designed for. Their proximity sent his pulse racing despite his misgivings. The attraction between them was undeniable, but now layered with new complexity. The ritual of resonance is dangerous, Lyra warned, changing the subject. Dren knows this. He hopes you'll fail or die in the attempt, Nara added bluntly. Then I'll just have to disappoint him, Alex replied with a confidence he didn't entirely feel. Lyra's hand found his, her touch sending warmth up his arm. Will help you prepare. The ritual requires mental discipline and physical endurance, both of which you possess in abundance, Nara added, her eyes traveling appreciatively over his form. Despite everything, Alex felt himself responding to their closeness, to the genuine concern and growing affection in their eyes. Engineered or not, there was something real developing between them, something that transcended their predetermined roles. All right, he said, squeezing Lyra's hand and meeting Nara's gaze. Teach me what I need to know. As night fell over the biodome, the three began preparations for the ritual that would either cement Alex's position as king or end his unexpected reign before it truly began. For 3 days Alex prepared for the ritual of resonance under Lyra and Nara's guidance. They taught him meditation techniques to strengthen his mental barriers and physical exercises to channel the crystal's energy. The ritual will attempt to overwhelm your consciousness, Lyra explained as they sat cross-legged in a meditation chamber. You must remain centered, anchored to your sense of self. Previous candidates have been lost in the crystal's memories, Nara added, their minds scattered across millennia of Felian history. Their training sessions grew increasingly intense, pushing Alex to his physical and mental limits. Yet during these shared struggles, something profound developed between the three of them, a bond that transcended their predetermined roles. On the eve of the ritual, they retreated to Alex's chambers, exhausted but prepared as they could be. Attendants had prepared a feast of Phelan delicacies, many specially modified to suit human biochemistry. I've been thinking, Alex said, setting down a goblet of sweet luminescent nectar, about what Dren said regarding your purpose. The twins exchanged glances. We've been thinking about that too, Laura admitted, about being more than what we were designed for, Nara continued. Alex leaned forward. What if we redefine your roles, not as vessels, but as partners? Partners? Lear repeated the concept, clearly novel. On Earth relationships are about choice, not obligation. Alex explained. Whatever happens between us should be because we want it, not because some ancient technology dictated it. And what do you want? Alex, Nara asked, her violet eyes intense. The question hung in the air, charged with possibility. Alex looked at them, these extraordinary beings who had entered his life through cosmic chance, and recognized the truth. I want you, he said simply, both of you, not because you were designed for me, but because of who you are. The twins moved closer, their expressions a mixture of wonder and desire. No one has ever seen us as separate from our purpose before, Lyra whispered. You're the first to ask what we want, Nara added. And what do you want? Alex asked. Their answer came not in words but in touch, Lyra's hand on his cheek, Nara's fingers intertwining with his. What followed was a night of discovery, of boundaries crossed by mutual desire rather than predetermined design. Their bodies found a harmony that transcended their biological differences, creating a connection that felt both ancient and entirely. In the afterglow, as they lay tangled together beneath the star-filled dome of his chambers, Alex made a promise. After tomorrow we'll find a new way forward for all of us. Dawn brought the day of the ritual. The great crystal chamber was ancient, predating even the biodome itself, carved from living stone. Its walls were embedded with smaller crystals that caught and amplified the light from the massive formation at its center. The council members took their places in a gallery above, with Dren's disapproving gaze following Alex's every move. Hundreds of Phyleans filled the observation balconies, their collective anxiety a palpable force. Remember your training, Lyra whispered, adjusting Alex's ceremonial robe. Stay anchored to yourself, Nara added, pressing something into his palm, a small crystal pendant. This contains a fragment of our essence. Let it guide you back if you become lost. Alex closed his fingers around the pendant, drawing strength from its warmth. Then he stepped forward, approaching the great crystal alone. Derek's voice echoed through the chamber. The ritual of resonance begins. May the crystal judge wisely. Alex placed his hands on the crystal's smooth surface. Immediately energy surged through him, not painful but overwhelming in its intensity. His consciousness expanded, rushing outward like water breaking through a dam. He saw the Phalan past unfold, their ancient home world, their journeys among the stars, the catastrophic radiation event that damaged their genetic code. He witnessed generations of decline, of desperate measures and failed solutions. Then he felt a disturbance of foreign presidents attempting to disrupt the connection. Through the crystal's awareness he perceived Dren and several supporters at a control panel manipulating the energy flow to dangerous levels. Too much, Alex gasped, his body arching as power flooded through him. I can't. He felt himself slipping, his identity dissolving into the vast ocean of Phalan memory. Then he felt the pendant against his skin, pulsing with familiar warmth, focusing on that sensation, on his connection to Lyra and Nara. He fought to reassert his consciousness with a tremendous effort of will. Alex channeled the excess energy back through the crystal, directing it toward the sabotage control panel. Sparks erupted as the panel overloaded, throwing Dren and his conspirators backward. The connection stabilized, and suddenly Alex could see everything: the biodome systems, the genetic structure of every Phylean, the solution that had eluded them for generations. When he finally released the crystal, Alex staggered but remained standing, the first to complete the ritual in 7 generations. The chamber erupted in cheers as Lyra and Nara rushed to his side. You did it, Lyra breathed, steadying him. And more, Nara added, noticing the new awareness in his eyes. I know how to save your people, Alex said, his voice resonating with newfound authority. And it starts with redefining what it means to be Phylean. As guards apprehended Dren and his conspirators, Alex turned to address the council and the gathered citizens, his arms still supported by the twins who had become so much more than what they were designed to be. The Grand Council chamber buzzed with tension as Alex stood before the assembled Phylean leadership. 3 days had passed since the ritual of resonance, during which he had secluded himself with La and Nama, processing the vast knowledge the crystal had imparted and formulating his plan. The solution is simpler than you've allowed yourselves to consider, Alex began, his voice carrying a new authority that still surprised him. Control genetic hybridization with humans. A wave of murmur swept through the chamber. Counselor Talia leaned forward, her aged face thoughtful. You propose interbreeding our species? I do, Alex confirmed. The crystal showed me your complete genetic history. Your ancestors' encounter with cosmic radiation didn't just damage your reproductive capabilities. It altered a specific sequence that humans still carry in its original form. He gestured and holographic display appeared showing the genetic sequences side by side. Human DNA contains the undamaged template you need. Combined with Phalian genetics, it could reverse generations of degradation. Preposterous, shouted a counselor from Dren's faction. We would cease to be Phalian, would you? Alex challenged. What defines your people? The color of your skin, or your resilience, your ingenuity, your connection to the crystal? None of those would be lost. Varric stepped forward. The Resonant One speaks wisdom. Our history teaches that adaptation ensures survival, but where would we find enough humans willing to participate? Another counselor asked. You are but one man. Alex smiled. My mining company will declare me missing within weeks. They'll send search parties when they find me. Find us, I'll explain our situation. Earth has billions of humans, many of whom would volunteer to help a dying civilization, especially with the technological exchange we could offer. The debate raged for hours with the council deeply divided. Finally Talia called for a recess, allowing tempers to cool as Alex left the chamber with Liara and Nara. The twins exchanged meaningful glances. We need to speak with you privately, LaSure said, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. In a secluded garden within the palace surrounded by bioluminescent flora, they shared their news. The medical scans this morning confirmed it, Nara said, her hand unconsciously moving to her abdomen. We are both carrying your children. Alex stared momentarily speechless. Both of you from our night together? Lyra nodded, her violet eyes shimmering with emotion. The first successful conception in 3 generations. The physicians are astounded. Naira added, they want to monitor us constantly, but we insisted on telling you first. Alex sat heavily on a nearby bench, overwhelmed. He was going to be a father twice over with women he'd known for barely a week, yet instead of panic, he felt a surprising surge of joy and protectiveness. This changes everything, he said finally. It proves the hybridization will work. It's more than that, Lier said softly, sitting beside him and taking his hand. These children represent hope for our entire civilization. Na, and for us, Nara added, joining them, a future we never dared imagine. Alex pulled them both close, marveling at how completely his life had transformed. 2 weeks ago he'd been a solitary miner drifting between extraction contracts. Now he was a king, a lover, and soon to be a father responsible for saving an entire species. We should tell the council, he said. This news will sway the undecided. When they returned to the chamber and announced the pregnancies, the effect was immediate. Counselors who had been hesitant now looked at the twins with awe and at Alex with newfound respect. The crystal has blessed this union, Talia declared. The path forward is clear. Even most of Dream's supporters seemed swayed, though a few still muttered about diluting their heritage. The vote that followed was overwhelmingly in favor of Alex's hybridization plan. As the session concluded, Ferric approached with a ceremonial scroll. There is one more matter, Resonant One. By our oldest laws, the bearing of royal heirs requires formal union. The council requests that you honor the traditional marriage rites with the guardians. Alex glanced at Laurier and Nara, who appeared equally surprised. Is that what you want? He asked them quietly. We want to be with you, Lyra answered simply. Not because of tradition or duty, Nara added, but because of what we found together. Alex turned back to Barrick. Will honor your traditions, but on one condition. The ceremony must recognize that this union is one of choice and partnership, not obligation. Varric bowed. As you wish, my king. That evening, as they prepared for the announcement to the general population, Alex found a moment alone with the twins in the royal chambers. The setting sun cast the room in amber light, highlighting the sparkles in their orange skin. Are you ready for this? He asked. Everything's happening so fast. Liara laughed, the sound like chiming bells, says the man who became king within hours of crash landing. We've spent our lives preparing for a purpose, Nara said, more serious but finding joy in that purpose. That's the gift you've given us. Alex pulled them both into an embrace, marveling at how right it felt. And you've given me a home among the stars I never knew I wanted. As they held each other, the first announcement echoed through the city. Citizens of failure, rejoice. The guardians carry the heirs of the Resonant One. Our future is secured. Beyond the windows, lights began to appear throughout the biodome as citizens emerged in spontaneous celebration. The news of new life after so many barren generations spread like Wildfire through a people who had begun to lose hope. Alex stood with his arms around Lyra and Nara, watching the lights multiply across the cityscape, feeling the weight of responsibility balanced by the unexpected joy of finding love across the stars. The traditional Phalian union ceremony was scheduled for the following week, but events accelerated when the biodome sensors detected an approaching spacecraft. It's an Earth vessel, Alex confirmed, studying the readings in the command center. Helios 9, my company's search and rescue ship. They found you sooner than expected, Lyra observed, her hand resting protectively over her still flat abdomen. How will you explain all this? Nara asked, gesturing to the control room filled with Phalian technology in attendance. Alex ran a hand through his hair. Honestly, I have no idea. The command center buzzed with activity as Phalian technicians prepared for first contact with Earth humans. Derek coordinated security measures while Talia assembled a diplomatic welcome party. We should greet them together, Alex decided. Show them immediately that our species can coexist. As preparations continued, Alex noticed a group of counselors huddled in intense conversation, occasionally glancing toward Leah and Nara with poorly concealed hostility. Dren supporters, Barrett confirmed, following Alex's gaze. They've been unusually active since your announcement. Keep an eye on them, Alex instructed. I don't trust their sudden silence. The Helios 9 established orbit and sent a shuttle to the coordinates of Alex's crash ship through the biodome's external cameras. They watched as 4 figures in environmental suits examined the wreckage. Commander Rivers, Alex identified the lead figure, and that's Technician Chester, Security Officer Kovac, and Medical Officer Preston Good.